Alrighty, good morning. Today is October 20th, 2021. It is for the Communications 105 Fall 1 2021 session that I'm doing this presentation for. My name is Gregory Colbert, and this presentation is on nonverbal communication. So I wanted to go ahead and just say hello and thank you, and without further ado, we'll begin. Thank you so much. So the basis of this presentation is to help a listener understand the importance of nonverbal communication. Anytime a presenter is giving a speech or giving some type of presentation, it is always key to make sure that nonverbal communication, or cues, if you will, are essential to how that speech or presentation is being delivered. Forever we are so challenged with forgetting that our body language and our facial cues or expressions can really make or break how a presentation is done or how it's delivered. And so we always want to make sure we keep a concise mentality on that. So with that being said, some of the major characteristics will always be facial expressions. You always want to make sure your face is in a somber, happy, empathetic type of way. You always want to make sure those nonverbal cues with your body language kind of help understand or help the listener understand what you're trying to deliver and what you're trying to present. And it's always key to make sure that we focus on making sure that deliverance is that of a encouraging but also empathetic type of nature. We never want to go ahead and force it or be too aggressive in how we deliver our speeches. So making sure that we have correct posture, how we present ourselves, just in the physical is always going to be key with that. That segues into my next point, which is body language. Body language is going to be so very, very crucial in how you deliver your speech. Hand gestures, if you will, the way you articulate your words, eye contact around the room with however you present yourself. It's always going to be key and crucial to how you make your presentation or how you make your speech. Again, eye contact, very crucial into that. Whenever you're speaking, making sure you're gazing the room as best you can. With anybody that's going to be in there, no matter what the size of the audience is, it's always going to be key to have those type of, just keep that in the back of your mind, just how important that can be. And of course, gestures with your body. If you're going to be walking around the room, if you're going to be presenting with your hands, if you're going to be presenting behind with a billboard or a screen like I'm doing right now, it's always key to make sure you have those key attributes on hand and in sight whenever you're making your presentation. What are the differences between verbal and nonverbal communication? Well, as it can be pretty much said, I think common sense really kind of distinguishes it, but verbal communication is words that you communicate with, any sounds in your presentation. So if you have any audio devices or any type of demonstrations in a physical sense, obviously those are going to be key and crucial. You want to make sure those appeal to the audience in which you're going to be making this presentation. You don't want to just, you want to make sure that you're surrounding yourself and attributing yourself to the correct audience. That way you can go ahead and make that presentation as best you can. Segueing into nonverbal, a lot like what we discussed in slide 2, making sure that you have proper body language, making sure you have proper eye contact, making sure that your gestures are that of an appropriate nature, making sure you're standing up tall, and making sure that you articulate your words as best as you can. Those are going to be key in how you make your presentation. And then what can the presenter be doing for their presentation? So it really just depends on what type of audio devices or any type of technology that they may use to go ahead and make those make the presentation as best it can be. So those are going to be key and crucial in the deliverance of it. Effects of nonverbal communication. Obviously, there's positive and negatives to how you do it. The negatives, we'll start with that. Any aggressive body language, forcing yourself onto somebody or reading the room or inappropriate touching, obviously is never going to be acceptable. It's never going to make anybody comfortable, and then the deliverance of the speech is never going to be as perfect as it could be, depending on how hard you worked on it, obviously. Any tension in the room or any tension with yourself as a presenter, obviously that's never going to be helpful in how you make it. So you want to make sure that you're in a calm and concise manner. You want to make sure that you're confident in what you're doing and how you're delivering your speech. That way, there's no type of uncomfortableness, if you will, in your presentation. And of course, anxiety. If you go onto the stage or onto a room in front of people with anxiety, they're going to be able to pick up on that. So it's never going to be able to be helpful for you. So you want to make sure that you have your self-centered in how you're going to present yourself. You want to be confident in how you deliver it. You want to make sure that you have everything that you need in order to make sure that you are prepared and ready for this speech. Some of the positives, though, obviously ending on a positive note, smiling is always going to be crucial. You want to make sure that you are showing empathy and people are warming up to you and happy to have listened to your speech and are comfortable and welcoming to you. Eye contact, cannot stress that enough. Eye contact is so very crucial in how you deliver your speech. And in an engaging tone, you want to make sure that you're not too aggressive in your tone. You don't want to be too loud, too soft. You want to make sure that people can understand you and hear you. You want to make sure you're articulating the appropriate wording that's appropriate to the audience in which you're delivering your speech or your presentation. So those are all going to be very crucial in how you make your deliverance with that. Segueing into the etiquette for presenting in nonverbal communication. Obviously, proper dress attire is always going to be important. Just like we were discussing in week 5, obviously business casual or business type of attire is always going to be appropriate in how you make your presentation. Respecting boundaries. I spoke about this in the last slide. You never want to go around and touch people inappropriately or kind of invade people's personal space. If that is not something they're comfortable with, obviously it's going to make you uncomfortable as a presenter, and then at that point it's just going to make the presentation or the speech that not much more enjoyable for either party. So you always want to make sure those are key crucial points, that you don't invade anybody's personal space or anything of that nature. Keeping a positive demeanor. Obviously, you're confident in how you're delivering it. Obviously, it's going to be crucial in how you deliver, so that's going to keep the confidence level high so that people can be more engaging in how you do your speech. So you always want to keep that in mind. Appropriate body language to the audience. Again, you don't want to be too aggressive, you don't want to be slouching, you don't want to be inappropriate in how you deliver it. You want to make sure that anything of your speech is always going to be in a presentable manner. That way, whenever you make your presentation, obviously people are comfortable with how you're delivering it. And then of course, appropriate presentation material. You want to make sure you're prepared in how you deliver your speech. You want to make sure that you have the right material on hand. You want to make sure your technology is working in adequate form. You want to make sure that you come in there prepared. This is your presentation, this is your speech. So if you're not prepared, then the audience is going to pick up on that, and then this is not going to be enjoyable for anybody whatsoever. With that being said, that's pretty much my presentation in regards to nonverbal communication. The references here you'll be able to see as well in the slide presentation that I'll be sharing. I hope you enjoyed this speech. Thank you so very much for your time, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks so much. Take care.